In today's video, we're heading into the kitchen together to make 3 family favorites: pasta sauce, jalapeno sauce, and salsa, all part of putting away just a little bit every day for the Every Bit Counts challenge. So let's get started. Hey there, friends. If you are new, welcome. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for your support and for being here. So I just wanted to start out saying that I did do some talking during this video, but I had some technical difficulties with my camera and sound. So this is just going to be a complete voiceover video for the most part. So right now I am going to make some pasta sauce. I did this in another video. It is the same recipe. I am just roasting some tomatoes with some onion and some green peppers, and I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the oven while I am preparing everything to make salsa. So for this pasta sauce recipe, we are going to roast this at 375 in the oven for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then we're going to let this cool on the counter. So it gives it a nice roasted flavor, and it is super easy. I just put it in my Ninja food blender and blend it all up, and then I go ahead and water bath can it. So now I am getting ready to get the tomatoes prepared for the salsa, and I'm just kind of scoring these tomatoes a little bit. Then I'm going to put them in the boiling water, and then just for about 3 or 4 minutes just to get those skins a little bit easier to peel. And then I'm going to go ahead and add them into this ice water to stop the cooking process, and it makes it easy to slide those skins right off. One of my family's favorites is salsa, so we do make a lot of salsa in this household, and we do go through a lot of salsa. I love Roma tomatoes for this because they are not as juicy and they don't have as many seeds. So I've got a mixture of Roma tomatoes, some of my bigger beefsteak tomatoes, and I also have some grape tomatoes that weren't intended to be in my garden but somehow got in there. So I'm using those to make this salsa. And you're also going to see my husband here working in the kitchen with me today. It is so nice to have an extra set of hands, and we just spent some quality time talking as we are preparing all this food. I will have the recipe for this salsa in the description below, but I'm going to be honest, I kind of just eyeball it and taste it as I go to make it how we like it, because we do like a very hot and spicy salsa, and I just kind of adjust it as we like it. Here I'm just showing you how easily the skin comes off the tomatoes once you have just boiled them for a few minutes. And you don't have to do this. Some people don't mind having the skin on, but for my salsa, I like to have that skin off. So if you're new here, the idea about this Every Bit challenge, Every Bit Counts challenge, is just to put a little bit away at a time. So that way you are starting a nice pantry full of goodness for your family. And we do not have a super large garden. We do not have a super well-stocked pantry, but I feel like a lot of this really helps our family. And towards the end of the video, I will show you kind of my math of how much we are saving by doing a lot of this ourselves. I will say it again, as I've said it in other videos, that this Ninja blender is my best friend when it comes to preparing things in the kitchen. So I had just blended together some peppers and onions, and I'm just chopping up some cilantro. And I like a lot of cilantro in my salsa. It gives it that little extra flavor. Some people don't like the taste of cilantro, so it all depends on you. Now I'm just going to go ahead and blend up my tomatoes. They are a little chunky. It looks like it's more liquidy, but there are some chunks in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more peppers and onions, because once I put it in the pot, I just felt like there needed to be a little bit more peppers and onions. But again, my recipe down in the description will have kind of measurements, and I am just kind of eyeballing it based on how much we had when we started this whole process of canning this salsa. So the recipe calls for about 15 cloves of minced garlic. I am just using a couple tablespoons, and then I'm going to go ahead and mix that into our pot. This recipe also calls for about 2 teaspoons of cumin, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of black pepper. And then I'm going to add about a half a cup of lime juice. I'm just squeezing some fresh limes, and then I'm going to add a half a cup of vinegar, just to give it a nice little tangy flavor. And then I'm going to bring this to a boil, and once it comes to a boil, I'm going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes on the stove. I just want to add in here that if you are watching this video and you feel like you can't do some of these recipes because you don't have a large garden, you honestly can. You can buy this stuff in bulk. You can have a couple plants on your front porch, and this will help you save some money and can everything on your own. So while that's all simmering on the stove, I'm going to go back to working on some more pasta sauce. So I am just adding all these roasted veggies into my handy dandy Ninja blender, and I'm going to blend it all up, and then I will get ready to can it. So with the recipe I'm using, there are going to be some tomato seeds in here, but I had mentioned in my last video that I lost my food mill, and I actually found it after I videotaped this one down in my basement. So the next time I can, I will be using that, but I'm just giving it a little sniff test and then checking to see how well mixed it is, and I'm going to mix it up a little bit further. So the salsa is done, and I'm going to go ahead and ladle this into these jars. I am using, obviously it's pretty hot, you can see it's steaming salsa into these glass jars, so I have water heating up on the stove. That way I am not putting hot jars in cold water and causing them to crack. So I'm just ladling these to about 1/2 inch of headspace, and then I'm going to make sure there's no air bubbles, wipe the rims, and you will actually see my husband doing this part, wiping the rims and then putting the lids on, and then making sure that it's just about fingertip tight before we put them in the water bath canner. If you are a canner, I would love to hear what your favorite thing is to can from your garden. For me, I love salsa. I love the way it looks. It looks so pretty with the green and the white from the onions and the red from the tomatoes. And plus, I just love salsa. I could eat Mexican food every single day. So my favorite thing to can is salsa, and it's pretty easy. So if you're a beginner, give it a try. It's really not that hard. So once we get these all done, we're going to go ahead and put them in the water bath canner. We want to cover the jars by 1 inch, and then we want to adjust the heat to medium high, and then we cover, I actually don't show it in this video, I do cover this pot. And then for pint jars, you want to boil it for about 15 minutes, and then for a quart, it's about 20 minutes. And then we're going to let them cool before we take them downstairs and put them in the cellar. So we want to let them cool for about 12 hours and make sure that they sealed before we take them downstairs. I am excited about how many jars we actually got. This is kind of the beginning of our peak season for tomatoes, so we have a lot more to go through, and you can see that my canner is pretty full, so I gotta remove some, so I'm not just canning one lonely jar. But I am pretty excited with our tomato amount that we got this year compared to last year. And then ta-da, you can see the finished product, and they look so good. Hey friends, so we are out here in my coop now after doing a bunch of preserving in the kitchen, but I got a special treat from the company Grubterra. They had nicely given me this coop refresh, and I'm going to share with you my review of this coop refresher. So I love the company Grubterra. I use their soldier fly larvae for treats for my chickens, but I also have a lot of chickens. I have about 40 chickens, and our coop gets pretty smelly. I do use the deep litter method of bedding my chickens, especially in the winter. So it can get pretty stinky in there, and also the days are getting shorter, so the chickens are spending a little bit more time in the coop than they had. I did use this in the summertime when it was really hot, humid. It made the coop smell really, really good. But I also am excited to use it in the winter because it does get quite smelly in there in the winter, even though it is cold. So inside this bag, it has 4 little packages, and this should last about 15 weeks. So I'm going to show you what these packages look like, and I will have a link in the description below if you are interested in ordering this for your coop. But here is what the packages look like, and it's just full of natural ingredients with essential oil, so it is safe for your chickens, and it is not going to harm them in any way. It doesn't have any harmful chemicals or anything like that in it. Okay, so we are here in my coop now, and it is time to add one of these packets. It's been a couple weeks, so I'm going to go ahead and open this package and just spread it around in their bedding, because it's been that time period where it's starting to get a little bit of an odor, so it's time to add another one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this open. We're going to sprinkle it around here. My coop isn't perfectly clean today. We've been busy with canning and everything else with the fall time activities that come along with kids starting school. Our county fair is coming up. So it is a little bit messy in here, but this is the natural state of having chickens, and this is just part of having a farm. I wish you could smell how wonderful this smells. It has a mint, lavender, sage, almost thyme odor to it, and rosemary too, and it just smells so wonderful. It feels like I'm sitting out in an herb field, and it's just so refreshing in here, and I'm sure it's a little bit calming for the chickens too. So thank you again, Grubterra, for providing me this bedding, and I have to say I really, really enjoy this coop refresher. And I also want to tell all of you that have chickens, and who have a lot of chickens too, that this does work really well, and I will have it linked in the description below. So we are back in the kitchen, and we are cutting up some jalapenos to make this jalapeno sauce to put on our tacos or nachos. Like I said, we love our Mexican food in this house, so we will use it on lots of things. But you can see my husband's wearing rubber gloves because you don't want to touch these hot, spicy peppers and then accidentally touch your eyes because it burns. So I am going to show you here in a minute about this tool that we have that's super cool for jalapenos and corn peppers. You can see it right there. I will show you how it works here in a second. This jalapeno core is pretty sharp, but you just slide it inside the jalapeno, give it a little turn, and it pulls all that out, and it also pulls a lot of the seeds out with it as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and get about 8 tablespoons of olive oil simmering on the stove. Then I'm going to add these cut up peppers in there, simmer that for about 10 minutes. And then I'm going to add a half a cup of vinegar. This is pretty tangy, so if you don't want it as tangy, maybe add a little bit less. I'm going to add 8 tablespoons of sugar. We definitely want to get into canning a little bit more of sauces and spices, but this was a easy recipe and a good way to use up a lot of our jalapenos. If you know me, you know I love my garlic, so I'm going to add about 3 to 4 tablespoons of garlic for this recipe. And then I'm going to go ahead and let that simmer on the stove until it gets nice and soft. And I'm also going to add a little bit of kosher salt as well. And there you can see it simmering. It looks so good. It smells really good. And we're going to let that simmer for about another 10 minutes. This poor little Ninja blender has taken a beating this weekend, but I'm going to go ahead and add that jalapeno mixture in here, and I'm going to blend it until everything is nice and smooth. I did add about a half a cup of water to kind of thin it out. You might have to kind of mess with it to make it to the texture that you would like. I probably could have made it a little bit thinner, and our little funnel that we're using here had a little hard time getting this through there, but as we were going, we just kind of kept pushing it down in, and we ended up filling up these 2 jars. And now I'm just going to go ahead and label them, and then I will store these in my refrigerator. So like I said, we do not have a huge stocked pantry. My goal is to have a lot more, and we've actually eaten a lot already. But I just kind of wanted to give you a price breakdown. I kind of compared everything to Walmart, and if I took everything that I have here on my shelves and bought it at the store, it would be about $139. And here I just kind of grew this all myself, and I know what's in it, and I know that it is healthy for my family. So I would just want to say thank you for being here, friends. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and continue watching for more content. Bye.